15 beers on a Tuesday afternoon. 15 beers on a Tuesday afternoon. Fuck yeah!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 17 of 15 Beers on Tuesday afternoon. We're going with Fear Does Not Exist in This Dojo as a episode title for this. See if anyone has any phobias, maybe, if we run out of other stuff to talk about. This is the first time with the new time thing going on here. I felt like I was having a hard time getting people. Everyone had to work. Every guest I asked had to work, so I figure maybe push it back a little bit. We'll get some more people, more options for guests. Also West Coast people. We're going to have Dave Ram as our last guest today. And we'll have him at 8 p.m. And that's 5 for him on the West Coast, Seattle or Portland, I don't know. We're drinking the Labatt Blue Lights, the Tradish. What else? Facebook has some weird thing where they say they're cutting down on music on live streams. So usually I play a few songs beforehand. From now on, I'm just going to play like independent artists that I know for those, which I should have been doing all along, but I was throwing in some like AC/DC or some Testament or whatever. But I feel like hopefully they won't crack down on that. I'm not sure exactly what the whole thing was about. I saw some articles where people were like panicking about it. But I don't know if that's really the case. I think it might be trying to cut down on like DJ sets where people are, just playing complete sets of other people's music, not like bands doing their own songs or whatever. But who the fuck knows? Facebook's a fucking hellhole anyway. All right, well, we'll get right fucking to it. I think Dustin's ready for us, so let's call him up. I just realized for the first picture of him, I have him and Fiona, his girlfriend. Just in case you don't know Dustin, he's the pretty one in this picture. No, just kidding. He's not.
Hello.
Yo, what's up? Whoa.
What's happening, man?
That's fucking loud. Not much, man. How you doing?
Doing all right.
Sweet.
Excited to be here.
Yeah, you are. You got some other interview going on today too, right?
I do. I'm going on. Well, it's gonna be pre-recorded, but it's for a Universal Basic Income March happening on the 19th.
Okay.
Kind of a virtual march.
All right.
Which is kind of a neat thing that I'm being a part of.
What does a virtual march entail?
There's going to be different performances, and I mean, I guess kind of like the different concerts and stuff that we did over the past thing.
Okay.
What was that? Like different interviews of different people that are for it, and what Universal Basic Income is all about.
Gotcha.
And why it's important. All of those things.
Is there going to be an Andrew Yang speech?
Maybe. He's in New Paltz right now, and I think it's so.
What's he doing in New Paltz?
He's living through the quarantine.
Oh, really?
Up here. Yeah. He came
Wow.
up from his place. I mean, he was born in, I think, like Syracuse, so he's kind of from upstate.
Okay, right on. I never really knew where the fuck he was from.
Yeah.
All right. What was his deal? What did he do before he got into politics? He's like a tech guy.
Well, yeah, he was in the tech industry. He had a company that was basically promoting entrepreneurs in different cities like Detroit and Atlanta and different places that needed kind of a boost of business. So he was trying to get different people that would graduate college and things and would be the best of the best that would normally be lawyers or like get sucked into other industries and try to get them to go into places like that and really do startups and kind of create an economy in those kind of places.
Okay.
And then he kind of noticed the problem happening of basically machines taking our jobs or technology kind of surpassing the ability of places, like businesses like mine to even exist because of online shopping, because
absolutely. I mean,
new technologies and things. So,
and the more that goes on, the less need there's going to be for, once like self-driving trucks or something like that happens. Like,
exactly.
They put so many jobs out.
Yeah, and when you talk about self-driving trucks, it's not just a truck driver; it's every restaurant and hotel that they pass along that route. I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely. Yeah.
it's a cascading problem that's kind of gotten pushed quicker because obviously now we're looking for quicker solutions now more than ever as we're not interacting more. So
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I
the
mean,
need is
well, this has like the whole quarantine situation has kind of been like for the universal basic income has been like a big, basically the government giving you $600 a week was pretty much more, I think, than Yang proposed, right? He was proposing like a monthly
well,
thing.
the big difference between his policy and what that would be is it would be for everyone. So I mean,
Okay.
it could be a lower number, but I mean, if you're working at a grocery store or something else, you would get it too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that would
Okay.
be the difference. Would be it would actually unite people more than like create enemies. Like there was a lot of
Gotcha.
people that were essential
Upset.
workers
Yeah.
that were upset at people not getting it, even though we're never upset at when multi-million-dollar corporations get millions of dollars in breaks and things.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It kind of evens the playing field and it gets money into people's hands, and people spend money in places like local restaurants and local economies way more than billionaires saving it and hoarding it type of
Yeah.
deal.
And so, do you think that like the Democratic Party will consider, like, do you think Yang has more influence in their
I
decision making now?
I believe he has a lot more influence on the decision making now because I think he's going to be some part of this new administration in
Okay.
some way, or at least
Yeah.
have access a lot more.
Yeah.
They were talking. I guess we used to have in this country Department of Technology, which would
Okay.
make sense.
All right.
We
Yeah.
got rid of it in like 1996.
That's fucking.
Great,
It's
right?
great. Yeah. Yeah.
Great timing on that. And so he's kind of been pushing for that at least too, because every time Congress interviews like Zuckerberg or something, they look like idiots.
Yeah. Yeah. That no one knows what the fuck's going on. Yeah. I mean, like you would figure that maybe that will change. Like, at some point, like Congress needs, the legislatures will roll over a little bit. You see some younger people coming in.
That's the other thing. Yeah, there's been a big push for candidates that are on top of these ideas too, that
Yeah.
he's been like pushing and promote, or Andrew Yang has been pushing and promoting different candidates that are for universal basic income. And he's been pushing another thing called Humanity Forward, which is like a micro grant. And he was doing this before COVID happened, but then COVID happened and it made it more serious.
Okay.
But giving people micro grants and entrepreneurs micro grants to kind of get started.
Okay.
And I was actually lucky enough to receive two tiny micro grants from
Oh,
him,
nice.
from his company, and I started my coffee roasting business with it.
Nice, nice. I think that I think we'll what I'd like to do is get into the music store, like how you got into that first, and then we'll segue
Yeah.
into the coffee roasting after that.
Perfect. Yeah.
So with Planet Woodstock, how long have you been doing that?
We were celebrating 10 years in April
Wow.
before this got shut down. It would have been, yeah, we're still open. So it's 10 years this year.
And for anyone
Well,
listening
yeah.
who doesn't know, Planet Woodstock is a music store that Dustin runs. Has it always been on Morton Boulevard?
Yep, it's always been on Morton Boulevard. We were in a location right next to TCBY, and then 4 years ago we moved right next to the animal hospital across from the credit union. So like
The
a
spot you're in
100
now.
yards away, but like, yeah,
Exactly,
we've always been on Morton Boulevard the entire time.
I always hear really good things about that TCBY soups. Everyone-
Amazing soups.
everyone
Amazing
raves about the
soups.
soup.
John over at TCBY, tell him I sent you. He's the man. They make amazing soup, and they have really good coffee.
Yeah,
It's also, little known fact, it's a coffee beanery too.
okay. So it's weird because it seemed I would never think to go into a TCBY for lunch, or I would never think to go into a TCBY.
It's insanely not like a TCB. It's only TCBY by name, and they have
Yeah.
the yogurt and stuff, but it's really like a mom and pop
Yeah.
coffee soup shop.
It's almost
Really.
like they should have a better name.
Yeah, but yeah, he's part of that franchise, so I guess he's kind of in
Yeah, I got
with
you.
that. But yeah,
Yeah.
it should, or like almost like a at TCB or John's amazing coffee and ice
Yeah,
or
yeah,
yogurt
it's-
at T.
Yeah. So like 2010, you opened Planet Woodstock there. Before that, you were like part of the basement kind of thing too, right? You went Stango. don't know how
Well,
deep we want to dive into this.
we don't always need to dive into the basement, but
Okay.
all right, I'll answer questions if
Like
need
we
be.
we can do quick. So you did that, but you backed out of that pretty. When did the basement start? Like, what was the beginning of that?
I believe we got the place right at the end of 2006, and it kind of
Okay.
opened in 2007 after a huge battle to get the liquor license,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
then I got out basically in 2008.
So you got out right at the okay.
Yeah, it was. I saw the walls closing in on my
It,
health and the health of others.
it's funny you see how like hard of a time people have with getting liquor licenses, and it's always like it's very like draconian. There, like I feel like the liquor authority in general is like very overbearing and harder than it needs to be. But then for a place like that, it's almost like
It, no,
maybe,
a funny story. This wasn't the liquor authority part, but this was the town giving us the license to operate a bar. We were going to the city hall the same day that I don't know if you remember Tonic. It used to be
where was
where
that?
Uncle Willie's, or right
Okay,
around where Uncle
all
Willie's
right,
was.
yeah,
It was his bar. They were open for about 6 months, and
okay,
they were getting shut down the same day that we were going to apply to get a
gotcha.
permit.
All right,
And we're both, I was 23 years old. This other young group of like 20 somethings were getting shut down. And then we go
yeah.
up like, hey, so
This
could
will be
we open a
different.
bar?
Yeah, but you got the license.
Yeah, somehow. I mean, yeah, they did.
I was driving yesterday down what's that road that has like the credit union? It's kind of by Hannaford. It goes out to the CVS where it hits like Hurley Ave, turns into Hurley
Oh,
Avenue.
Schwank
Drive.
Drive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was driving near that the other day, and I saw Uncle Willie like kind of walked right across in front of cars, right across the street, and like put his arms up in the air and did like a kind of like Ric Flair, like whoa, and like. And I haven't seen that guy in a day since like years ago at the Rosendale Street Fest. But he looks like healthy, healthy and vibrant. And I was kind of shocked to see him at 3 p.m. in the daylight, like wooing.
Yeah, I feel like he's been that same kind of look for about 30 years or something.
Yeah, it's some people is a fucking vampire. But he's in the sunlight though, so I don't know. That doesn't.
Yep.
So you got out of the basement thing, and then you were like, "I'm gonna start a music store."
Well, I kind of ran into my old boss at Abrams Music,
Okay.
Alan and Abrams.
Yeah.
Chatted with them about business. I had moved from I moved away to California when I left it. When I came back and I opened the bar and everything, and I ran into them, and they were helping another old friend, Tom Benton, with a music store in Woodstock.
Okay.
So kind of at the same time, and I kind of like almost exiled myself from Kingston to Woodstock into helping them set up and run a music store out there.
And what store was that? What was that called?
That was called Planet Noise Music.
Okay. All right.
So that's kind of where I got the title from. And like,
Yeah.
he was Tom Benton. He's a guitar teacher, and he was teaching guitar, and he had a ton of students and stuff. And then Alan and Abrams were helping get the music store part, so I went out there to help him do that.
Yeah.
And then he didn't really want to do the music store part anymore, so I kind of, with a friend of mine, Chris Osberg, got together. We're looking for retail places, and we found Planet Woodstock Music out in Kingston. So we kind of changed the name, and
Okay. Yeah.
with the backing of Alan and Abrams, they got us kind of started with Planet Woodstock.
Abrams was in the mall, right? And it was
They were in the
and
it was on Wall Street. Wall Street is kind of where it started, and I worked there when it was in the mall. They had two for a little while, then just the mall.
Where on
and
Wall
then,
Street? Where like what was there? What's there now? Was that like
I think it's right where there's like a judo place kind of thing, or what is that? Kingston? Am I saying? I think it's a judo place.
Okay.
Kingston Judo Studio or Kingston.
Like
yeah.
pretty close to the like John Street right there, right? Like
Yeah.
Okay. Huh. I remember.
I believe that's where it was.
All right. Cool. So 2010. It seems like a music store is such a high investment thing to open. As far as like having shit that everyone wants and.
Yeah, it is kind of difficult because there's so many different items in the music
Yeah.
retail thing that it's like, oh, do you have this little cable, or do you have this kind of drum thing, or do you have
Yeah.
this specific guitar string?
40
So
different kinds of drumsticks, that
yeah,
everyone uses that you're not.
and the guy that comes in wants the different one that you don't
Yeah.
have, and that. Yeah, so it's. I think having the background of Abrams music and the help of them get me going with it
Yeah.
definitely was huge.
So, like, did you kind of take some of their inventory off their hands when they like went out, or is it like?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and they were stocking when it was Planet Noise music. They were kind of help stocking that, and then they helped kind of get me going
Okay.
originally with Planet Wood. So that's kind of what really enabled me to get going.
The first nice I had the first drum kit I ever had was like a Sears Blackhawk or some shit like that. It was like $300 Sears catalog kit. But then my first summer home from college, I worked at this place called Duso Foods outside of Ellenville. It was like loading trucks for like 12 hours a day. It was like $6 an hour, but I worked like 70-hour weeks, so I made a shit ton of money. And I got my first like Tama kit from the Abrams in the mall, and that was like my first nice drum set.
Nice.
It was like a weird place to buy a
What
drum set from the mall.
what year was that? Oh, probably
That
before
would
my
have been
time.
that would have been 93, I think.
Yep, I was probably taking guitar lessons there.
There you go. Yeah, I remember that.
Well, actually, probably not even yet. Yeah, I was probably like 15 or so when I. Anyways, I won't completely age myself, but we're going through my whole bio here.
Nice. Why not?
Nice picture there with me and Fiona and I there.
Yeah, I got that one. I told everyone before we started that you were the pretty one, but not really. I also the two other pictures I have. We'll go to the you in a suit here.
Right.
But I have you in a suit with a beer, so I saved it as Dustin suit beer, and then I have another one where you're in a bear suit, so that one's bear suit. So it's
I think
suit
I
beer,
probably also have a
bear
beer.
suit
I think
in
I
that
also
one
have a
too,
beer in the bear suit.
Yeah.
If I remember, that was the beginning of quarantine. You should throw that one up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'll go next. We'll go with this one. This one right here, the suit and the beer on a train. I think it looks like. Is that what?
I think I'm a little bit delayed, so I might wait until it comes up.
But yeah, it's this is like a nice. It looks like a politician one. I think when you run for mayor.
Oh, I was at a.
This might be a good. It shows that you're boozing it up. You got a koozie. The kids are into it, but you got a suit on. You look professional. I guess you're good. I think we need some ground. I think me and Neil, my roommate, were talking about this morning. We need some ground between like a mayor that is just like very pro. Let's build giant hotels for rich people. Let's give tax breaks to that. And then the next, like, it's always him running against some dude that's like, Van Blarkham, let's lock up every fucking Hispanic person in town, So it's like, obviously you have to vote for that dude, but there's got to be a middle ground in between those two dudes, It's such a big disparity. And I think that's like American politics in general. It's like there's some crazy, like, lunatic Wild West, right wing fucking, if you're not white, you should be locked in cages. And then somebody that's like, just give rich people everything and they'll take care of us is the other option, the alternative to that,
Yeah, when there's so many better things that are in between those two choices, it would seem like
Yeah.
I wish that were better. But better people don't run because
Why would you think it's like too?
I mean, dude, I owned a basement for a year.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's photos that could end my political career.
Do you think at this point that politics are like that anymore? I think it seems like like a genuinity. I don't know. A genuine reaching out to people. I think would go. Is more important than that stuff. Like look at Biden. Like Biden has so many things like that fucking the corn pop speech. Like so many things that are just like what the fuck. That 10 years ago would have just plummeted his career. There's no way he would have even been made it.
Well, I mean, I think that's the other end of the spectrum is Donald Trump.
Yeah, well, exactly. Like where it's gone so far beyond the pale that I think people are just it's a different world now.
Yeah, it's exhausting when with the choices that we get.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you're right. When I had Darcy on a few weeks ago. And that's basically what he said. He's like, if you want to change something, like you have to start going to meetings and start running for these, local positions and changing things that way. And that's a lot of work. That's a lot more work than like posting a bunch of shit on Facebook or like.
Yeah. It's easy to say, oh, some people, he should run or something like that. But yeah, I think it is a lot more of the in-depth circle of people that are involved in a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I went to, kind of more of a fly on the wall, but I rented a sound system for an event that took place in Kingston actually last Tuesday.
Okay.
And it was talking about the programs that they were doing for green energy programs and green energy job training and all these kind of
Okay.
things.
Yeah.
And
Nice. Nice.
everyone was there. I mean, Delgado was there, the Congressman Delgado,
Yeah.
Kevin Cahill was there, Pat Ryan was there, um, David Clegg was there, the sheriff was there, the mayor was not there.
Okay.
It was right in Midtown Kingston, but it was, I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of talk and planning, and there's like a real specific group of people that are like hyper into the politics and the system and all these kind of things.
Yeah.
And then I would say like 90% of the people that are oblivious to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of a weird, different spectrum, and that's why most people don't vote. I think is because once you start paying attention, you get disgusted with it. So you say,
Yeah.
"Never mind, fuck it." Like,
Mhm.
and that's one of the biggest, problems with the choices that we get nowadays.
Yeah. Well, and that's the
But
thing. Like, everyone with Washington, like, you go there trying to, implement your whatever, and then you kind of either become part of the system or you get eaten up by the system. Kind of, right? Seems to be how it works.
yeah, and that's one of the. I mean, I don't agree with every one of her policies, but I respect the shit out of her. As AOC
Yeah,
is like
absolutely.
fighting the good fight and being a normal person, screaming and yelling at the system, which should be done for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
'Cause
funny
it's
with her, like how vilified she is. Like I have these
that,
people.
yeah, that means she's doing something right when she
Yeah,
like speaks logic to people that are like on like a what the heck are the like a fairness committee. I forget what they're called, but then she
yeah,
literally says like, "This doesn't seem like it's fair," and they're like, "Well, it's just the way it is."
yeah. I have friends, like from mostly from music, but I've during a lot of this I've unfollowed them on Facebook. But before that, it's like some dudes that are like drive a snowplow for a living, and they're like, "This woman's a fucking idiot," and it's like, all right, man, you drive a snowplow. This
Yeah, I
woman,
got
where'd she graduate from? And she's in the House of Representatives at this age. Like, you need to maybe just
so like
look at the bigger
yeah.
picture a little bit.
One of the things that I think Trump yelled at her, like, "Oh, she's just a stupid college kid," and AOC was basically like, "Well, let's compare college transcripts real quick."
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah.
challenge accepted there. Let's do it. But
Yeah, I think
obviously,
there's some like quote of hers where it's like, either I'm like this evil mastermind that's trying to destroy the country, or I'm some dumb woman that should go back to bartending. Like, you can't. It's hard that they paint her with the same brush. Like, she can't be both necessarily.
yeah. And I think that's the thing, and both sides do this, and I have friends on Facebook on both sides, and I try to keep them just so I could see what the other is doing.
Yeah.
But I think the people that are really in or in the Republican Party or in the Democratic Party all the way up, they want to keep people disgusted to make a zone out.
Yeah. Well, the DNC is like, I'm disgusted by the DNC. Like, I think
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
it's a I keep getting these emails from Move On that are like,
Yep.
will you
Yep.
donate $3 a week? And it's like, fuck you. If all your policies are going to be towards the giant corporate end of the party, like, which they are, then no,
Yeah.
I'm not giving you money. Get your money from fucking Amazon or from Facebook or these companies that you're going to refuse to regulate.
Yeah.
Get
'Cause
your
they don't
fucking
even-
money from
yeah.
them. You don't need my fucking $3. Like, fuck off. Like,
Yeah, and the emails are such like, "We need it right now." Or
yeah, exactly. There's
we're so desperate for money. Like, you're begging, and you're also taking so much. Yeah,
yeah.
that's one of the things that, like, I mean, that make me upset when people like talking about Andrew Yang's kind of campaign or $1,000 a week for everybody. That's crazy. We can't
Yeah.
afford that. And then meanwhile, we pass like hundreds of millions for Project X and hundreds of millions for this one and hundreds of millions for that company and hundreds of millions for this. And it's got to be controversy when I say it on your show about musicians. Even the Save Our Stage thing.
Yeah.
When I'm reading that, they want like $300 million to save our stages, and I'm like, that sounds great.
Yeah.
But when you look at it, the money goes to promoters. It goes to a lot of things, but it doesn't go to musicians.
Yeah.
It doesn't go to the people that work at the places around the stage. It doesn't go to any of the. I mean, so it's.
Well, that's
it's
the problem with a
thing.
lot of stuff is that when you like, I don't think government is meant to run efficiently. I don't. It's not easy for government to run efficiently. So if a government gives away $1 million, like, obviously the people that know how to grift, how to grab more than their share of that are gonna do that. Like, but the
and that's they have the lobbyists set up. They have all these things, and it's so they do a campaign, and the funny thing again is all the people promoting it are going to get, of course, musicians from everywhere to promote it.
Yeah.
And we're gonna it's essentially working for publicity, and not even getting publicity.
Yeah.
When it's like, if you took all of that money and you took all, like, not just Save Our Stages, but all of the different things, and you said, yo, if you just cut out all of that bullshit and gave money directly to people evenly, and allowed them to use it to change to a better job or figure out what they're doing and like create a business, or even like enable a musician to kind of work or to do things, or enable somebody that stays at home to get some money, and they would spend it in the local economy, thus creating more of a local thing. And it makes much more sense, and it's more efficient. But the government,
I think that's a great idea. I think also you have to change the culture a little bit. Well, I
absolutely, that's the hardest thing. It's like when you say it to somebody and they're completely against it, but if you talk to somebody for an hour about it, they're like, yeah, that makes sense.
And I don't even mean about the people like that are opposing that, but like, someone making music and playing shows where maybe they don't make enough to live, but that's kind of, that can establish a like reputation or a feel for an atmosphere in an area that I think contributes to the area being a better place. We have Woodstock, and this area in general, the Hudson Valley, I think has like kind of a rich music history, and I think it's important that we have people like here, that there are bands playing and there are things like that, and they should be able to make a living even if they don't necessarily make a living just from that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Or the idea, I think even better. Sorry to cut you off, but like the idea of like, okay, you have enough, you don't have to work for $7 an hour at Walmart, but maybe volunteer somewhere. The idea of volunteering instead of actually, working.
Yeah, it would enable you to have the free time to do that, because your throat's like, no, I have to work in order to afford my $1,500 studio apartment in Kingston now, so I can't afford to even play music anymore because I have to work at this job to just survive to live, and it's a never-ending cycle of that.
And that's what I think a lot of people feel like if you just gave people money, they would not do anything. But I think that's kind of crazy. Like, people are always going to do something. People
absolutely.
Are gonna,
It would enable them to do more, and it's been proven again and again. But everybody will just stop working. Like, no, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
You would stop working the shit job for slave labor. You would stop doing that.
Yeah.
But you would do something more productive with your time. You would do other jobs. It would make those jobs that were underpaid. They would have to pay more to keep people.
Exactly.
So it would raise minimum wage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because people's time would be more valuable at that point.
Yeah.
So it would create more of a higher minimum wage that way, because if you want workers, they're not going to be like, well, tough shit, you have to work here in order to live in your super expensive apartment. You would have a little bit more power.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you see where there was that Kingstonian meeting was like right before I started the live stream?
I really need to be more involved in that.
Yeah.
And that's another project. And again, that's just it's rich people getting subsidies to create more expensive living to push poor people out, and it's ridiculous.
That's why I think you need to run for office, man.
And then I would need to go to these meetings.
You would. I mean, instead of being on these fucking podcasts, you could So what are you doing for the other thing? You're just like recording a Zoom meeting kind of thing?
I guess it's a Zoom interview with
Okay.
the Guaranteed Basic Income Virtual March.
Okay.
So it's with the same people. Yeah, it's 2 ways to participate: make mini marches in materials of your choice, place them in public spot. Make me. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna find out more and get back to you. I gotta.
Okay.
But
Well, I
it's
mean,
it's that I'm sure they didn't want to do like a real march because I mean I think the
yeah.
timing would be poor and I don't
Yeah.
I would be kind of against it. But so I like the idea to get the idea out there more and to
Yeah.
speak to it,
Right
like
on.
normalize it more to the point of where it's just the only logical step to do.
So are you not? You're not getting drunk with me right now?
I'm having a beer with you right now. I'm
Okay.
having a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale.
All
I'm
right.
actually
That's
still at my shop. I figured I'd do the interview here, but I needed to at least have a drink with you.
there. You go. Thanks. So
Not gonna let a friend.
2010. To get back to this, we got on our little political tirade here. So 2010, you started the store. And like, was it rough going at first? Like, did you fall into a, how was it like?
We were going. I mean, it was good. There's not a lot of music stores around, and I mean,
Yeah,
and the experience I had and my partner at the time, Chris, we had a decent thing going. He was really great at repairs. I was doing, I mean, the retail part. We kind of knew a roundabout of where to get items from retail wise, what people wanted, what were the more popular. I mean, so we had a good background
yeah,
behind us when we were starting. So it was fairly decent in the beginning.
okay,
So I mean, it wasn't. I mean, I'm not driving a Corvette or anything
yeah, yeah.
now,
Well,
But I'm like, I
2010
mean,
was probably a lot different than even now is, though, right?
yeah. I mean, it was still right after. I mean, it was still a odd time to start a business like that because it was right after 2008's
Yeah,
recession and
yeah,
all
yeah,
that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was difficult, but I guess I've grew like out of the business being out of those difficult times. You adapt and you figure it out as
yeah,
you kind of go, and you do different streams of income. I mean, we do like lessons, we do PA system
yeah,
rentals, we do band instrument rentals. We do, like we'd kind of not rely on like Christmas sales, and then you coast for a while. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
so you kind of have to adapt and do
Because
multiple
you're not
things.
really selling a big, $1,000 guitar that often, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the more popular items are probably between 150 and $400, are probably like
Gotcha. Yeah,
the sweet spot of a guitar. And I mean, occasionally higher ones, but they might sit for a couple months or so.
yeah,
So
yeah. That must be
it's
hard. Like, how do you decide what items to have there sitting on the shelf? Like, you get it for a good price, and that's why you get it, or like what determines?
yeah. I mean, how much money I have to purchase things,
Yeah,
what kind of things come into the shop. I mean, we do a lot of used, we do some consignment.
yeah,
So it's being adaptable, I think.
yeah,
I mean, that's crazy. I've been in business 10 years, but
yeah,
being adaptable has been the biggest thing.
yeah,
So I mean, what also hurt this year the most was all the like the little side things that I kind of set up in order to like, okay, it wasn't a big band.
lessons
It wasn't
or
a big this season, so it'll be this season. Or like band instrumentals were down, but PA system rentals were up. Or
yeah,
those kind of things where like they kind of flatlined
yeah,
during this whole thing. So it's been rough, but again, also living within your means is another kind of way to adapt.
yeah. Why do you decide to switch spots?
The store where
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah,
before,
yeah.
well,
On Morton Boulevard,
it
like
was
just moving
cheaper
on.
and larger. So it
Oh
was kind
wow,
of, and
okay.
they kept raising the rent there. So it was kind of like, all right, and they wanted me to expand it into the store that was vacant next to me where
Yeah,
Pop's Tattoo was.
gotcha.
And I'm like, I can't afford to do it like that. That
Yeah,
would sink me.
yeah,
And then there was this place where I'm at currently that's been open like almost the entire time I was there. So we moved over here
yeah.
and
What was
bigger
there? What was
space. We
there
built a
before?
stage. Hmm?
What was there before you moved in?
It was vacant for a long time. It was like briefly, it was like a furniture store. Before
Okay,
that, it was like a shipping store. It was like a couple things for like a couple months, and then it was
yeah,
like
yeah.
empty again.
Huh.
So I always had my eye on it, and then it was affordable. And the landlord's way cooler and
Nice.
nice and flexible. And then we built a stage. We had rooms in the
Yeah.
back for repairs and lessons and stuff. So it's been a much better space.
So I say, yeah,
And
the stage thing. You were running the Anchor open mic night for a while.
Yes,
And
absolutely. That was fun.
you definitely had a like focused. It seemed to like you were focusing on like younger, getting some younger people in, like some people just starting out. Which, as someone that runs a music store, is probably a great idea to do. And when you do shows at your store, you've also like have some kind of like younger stuff going on.
Yeah, with the store, I did a more focus on like the all age kind of shows that like kind of I grew up with when I was in high school and stuff. So it was like,
Yeah.
okay, cool, like because they're not going to go to Keegan's, they're not going to go to the Anchor, they're not going to go to, I mean, BSP or any of these because they're kids, they're high school kids, but they're excited to see live music.
Yeah.
So that was the idea. I'm like, hey, let's make a stage and actually have shows and be a spot and create a scene. So we had a lot of different shows.
Yeah. Did you ever like get an open mic night thing set up at the store?
Sadly, I was about my first one though, because my last open mic at the Anchor was the end of February,
Okay.
and I was starting. I said the end of March was going to be my first monthly or biweekly open mic at my store, and then COVID hit. So it was like the worst timing ever on that. So we never fully got the open mic going because COVID.
I remember coming out to, I think, the last open mic night. I think I got there while the last person or two was playing, but I wanted to be there for your last one. And that seems like 5 years ago. Like, that seems like so fucking long ago.
Right?
That's insane that was only February. Wow.
That was the last Thursday in February.
Jesus.
And I joke with Brandy, I'm like, you see what happens when you cancel open mic?
I don't know if you remember. Did you come to the show where we played with the goddamn Gallows at BSP?
Yes, I was at that too, and we were joking about COVID and all that.
Yeah, that was like right
that
as
was
it
the last
started, but before everything shut down. Yeah, that was like the last time a lot of people were in public.
Yep, I was at that show too. Yeah,
and that also seems like fucking 7 years ago.
Yeah,
it seems like so long.
That feels like years ago. Now the BSP is gone.
That's insane. Like, even Uptown, the Uptown scene after this, like, I think Travis Snappers will still I picture just a bunch of raccoons, a skunk, and a possum, just like in Snappers every night, drinking the same way everyone was just before the fucking quarantine, And just a bunch of like wild animals just doing the same thing that other human wild animals were doing.
Yeah, it's sad. I remember when we lived uptown and we'd walk out on like a Friday or Saturday night and there'd be music playing in like 4 different spots.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's going to be a completely different landscape. Yeah, 2 Ravens.
There's going to be Snappers up there,
yeah. Nothing's going to be going on. And that's one of the saddest parts because that's one of like the proudest things at Kingston. You're like, what do you want to do on Friday night? This show is going on here. This show is going on there. There's this event going on here. Like, it was...
I mean, it kind of sucks as a band because you're always like, oh, we have this great lineup for the show at the Anchor or wherever you're having it. Then, fucking BSP has this, giant band doing an album release or something like that. Lara says my voice is much quieter, so let me fucking adjust this shit. All right. There, I think that should be
because I'm a loud person.
Yeah. But yeah, that's gonna be interesting. The whole like uptown live music, how that works. Like that BSP spot, the way they brought in bigger bands, or they had the opportunity to bring in bigger bands.
Yeah, and even like the different community events they did, like Halloween, New Year's, or any kind
positive,
of certain, all those different things that brought everybody kind of like the meeting ground, and then you'd branch out from there and go to other places, type of thing. But
yeah.
It sucks having that big of a space empty, which is what it was before.
And I think the landlord wants to keep it like that. I don't think right? From what I've heard, he doesn't want to open something else there or like let someone else kind of take over.
And that's terrible. That's terrible for Kingston.
Yeah, it is bad.
And then you have the big push for the Kingstonian, and that's just going to make it it's going to turn into, it's going to be a bunch of commercial type places instead of local mom and pop shops.
Well, that's what it seems. It seems like a place like that in like Baltimore or something like that, like a bigger fucking. I don't know, like some city with, 500,000 people or like 1 million people, not a 22,000. You don't need that in uptown fucking Kingston. It doesn't seem like to me, but.
Yeah, what kind of shops are you going to have there where people can actually afford rent?
Exactly, and I think some people like as a dog walker. I might do the more high income housing you get put in here, the better for me, I guess, because people that can afford me to overcharge them to walk their dogs. But for the majority of people, yeah, it's not a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, well, then it's going to be just a society that caters to that group, or is it going to be a society that caters to us? And that's
exactly.
the two different.
Yeah. And I think if you have people that aren't from an area just visiting it, they're obviously not invested in it. They don't want the area to thrive as much. If you have a street where everyone owns their own home, everyone's, invested in making that a nice street for everybody. Everyone wants their home value to go up, or everyone wants a nicer place to live necessarily,
Yeah, but if you have an area with
If
a
it's
bunch
all
of
Airbnbs,
a super high-end apartment complex, then you have it's just another generic city instead of a creative city.
Well, that's how the whole tech industry seems to have just gone through everything, and it's like, well, okay, how can we make money off this? Oh, music, Spotify. Here we go. Let's just leech all the profits off that. Hotels, Airbnb. Let's leech, let's figure out how to cut all the expenses and still make the profit without doing anything but provide the format.
Yeah, and push all of the tax exempt things and all of the tax incentive things are companies that could afford to push, and lobbyists are companies like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, music store for 10 years, and then you decided to get into the coffee roasting.
Yeah. All right. Well, my friend and our friend Thomas was feeding me some coffee. The place that he works.
I'm gonna let you tell the story, and I'm gonna take a quick minute. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
You start the story.
Yeah. So he was feeding me some coffee at the place he worked, and we went through so much coffee and then he stopped doing that, and then and I kept thinking about getting a roaster and talking to him, because he roasted coffee for a living, and finally I pulled the trigger, bought this giant roaster. Talked to him again, finally bought, with the help of the Humanity Forward loan, bought a giant bag, 151-pound bag of Costa Rican coffee beans, and we started roasting coffee. And I've been kind of throwing the hints out there on Facebook and getting awesome feedback, and talking to different friends, and the running club at Keegan's that I'm at, and talking and the feedback has been awesome. The coffee has been coming out awesome. And the main idea that made me come up with it was during a recession or during a apocalyptic time, I think the few things that will be traded are things like coffee, alcohol, something like that. So it's kind of a apocalypse-proof, again, branching out and doing something else, because all of the PA system rentals and all the band rentals, all of that's been way low. It's something else that you could adapt and do. So
you're doing the roasting right in the store?
Not in my store. Actually, I'm doing it outside of my house.
Okay.
So I'm kind of treating it like a separate business in the backyard. It's
All
like an outdoor roaster. It's about the size of a grill. It weighs 200 pounds, and it can roast up to 25 pounds at a time.
All right.
But it's been really fun. It smells delicious. My house now smells like a coffee shop. Nice. It's amazing. And I've been selling. Well, I've been testing it, small bags and big bags, and doing it real simple. I've been doing like a medium roast, a dark roast, and like a blend of the two. And I've been selling out each week, and I've just made the Facebook page today and decided fully on the name.
What is the name? What are you going with?
Rondout Roasting Company.
Okay. Dave Panulo commented Mean Bean.
Mean Bean. Yeah, he's been egging me on this whole time.
Okay.
Mean Bean.
Rondout.
I told him whenever I messed up a roast, or which I haven't yet, thanks to Thomas. Thank you, Thomas.
Yeah, knowledge. Author.
Author Thomas Devins.
Yeah. I'm almost done. Have you read it?
I'm almost done with it too. I am like 3/4 of the way through.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it took me a while to get acclimated to all the characters. Our friend Thomas J. Devins has a novel out. It's a debut novel called Stone and Shield, right?
Stone and Shield. Yep.
Yeah, and it's good. It's a whole new fantasy world, so it took me like a while to get acclimated to who was who and what was going on. But
Yeah, luckily in the back, I flipped through it a couple of times to see who was on what side. You know, he's got a little glossary in the back of who's on what team, basically.
Yeah.
But it's and the map too. But
the map, I have some issues with the map. Next time I get drunk with Thomas, I'm gonna probably give him some grief about that map, because there's a lot of places he references that aren't on the map necessarily.
you know what? Yeah, like a zoomed-in map would be cool. Like
Yeah,
you know, when you visit a city, you see the state, and then you visit the city and you zoom in on it.
Or even beyond that, like especially there's 2 other continents that aren't on the map at all. Like even if it was, I don't know.
You know what? He's gonna have other books. He's already working on the sequel. So.
I know. Yeah, exactly.
But I'm not into the fantasy novels usually, but I'm kind of sucked into this one. So.
Yeah, good, nice.
Good. I like the format. It reminds me of Game of Thrones, like I'm watching episodes of it.
Okay.
The perspective thing.
Oh,
but
yeah,
anyway,
yeah, he's doing good.
Thomas should be on your show.
I tried to get him for this, but
you know,
he has Dungeons and Dragons tonight. I was gonna have you guys are gonna both be on the same show, but
yeah, busy man. But he helps me roast in between his Dungeons and Dragons and writing and working. Yeah.
Do you have like a logo on your bags or whatever? You're doing to more restaurants and stuff like that, so it's not like a.
Right now, I'm just selling it to people, and my goal is to have it with the logo on the bag and have it in places
like grocery stores and that kind of shit.
Yeah, like little small grocery store type places is my.
And round out roasting.
Round Out Roasting Company. And Fiona came up with it.
You have a Facebook today. You just made the Facebook today.
I just created the Facebook page, so you could search for it. Round Out Roasting Company.
If someone listening wanted to order from you, how would they go? They'd have to like Facebook you, and then
it'd probably message. I could do PayPal. I could deliver anywhere in the area. I could do PayPal, Venmo, and I was just talking to some friends on another thread about shipping it. So I got to figure out how much it costs to ship the coffee.
Gotcha.
And I could probably get that going as well.
All right, that's it's great. And then 3 different, and it's been going good so far. Do you have any restaurants like on board?
I was kind of holding off. I was kind of going slowly. Was my plan on this, and really do like friends, family, and like extended friends kind of thing, which has been going well before. And I wanted to wait to get the logo and the website and everything set up to be more official before I would go to a restaurant.
Is it the kind of thing that like you think you'll be better at it a month from now, or like you kind of know what you're doing on now? And
I feel even like I think we've done 3 weeks of roasting, maybe 3 weeks of roasting, and each time it's honing it in. I mean,
so it is getting better.
Having Thomas was huge. He's got like 10 years experience roasting coffee.
Yeah.
So like, if I went in without him, I'd be probably way further back than I am now. Like, just the small hints and stuff that he gave me. But every batch has been coming out good. To the point that even the beans that he told me to get specifically were like so.
Where do the beans come from? They come from like South America?
The ones I got, I mean, it's a 151-pound bag, so I bought one of them because they cost about $500. Thank you, Andrew Yang.
Is it? For the mini grant? Okay.
The Humanity Forward grant there. So I bought one giant bag of one.
So I want socialist coffee.
Like a coffee kind of flavored thing. So he was like, "Oh, get Costa Rican. It'll be a good one." So the medium and the dark roast, they're perfect for people that like coffee and not like flavored stuff or anything.
Okay.
So,
and you make those. I don't know shit about coffee. You make those with the same beans. You just roast them for different amounts of time.
Different. I mean, it's the same bean. Yeah, the same beans. You just roast them.
Okay.
I mean, what it sounds like. The dark one roasts longer, and the medium. Well, I mean, kind of longer, and the medium one kind of less. There's a little bit of science to it, and like the different crack of the bean. There's some of that.
All right.
Extra things that I've been learning.
Yeah.
I have also learned that dark coffee weighs less and takes up more space than like a lighter or medium roast coffee.
Like so the liquid itself?
Nope, the physical beans.
Okay.
Yeah, so like they pop a little bit larger the darker you get.
Huh.
So you could fill up a bag and it would weigh less than a half or a little bit less filled bag.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Lighter roast.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're just selling the ground beans. Is that what it is?
Well, I'm just doing the bean. I'm not grinding them yet.
Okay.
I don't have a grinder yet, but
Oh, so you're just selling people roasted beans?
Yeah, roasted beans, nice bags. They got a cool little clear things so you could see what color the roast is on them.
Yeah, it's
But I need a logo.
Like drugs, but it's just coffee.
Yeah, I'm now. I mean, now that you put up my little political picture there, yeah, I'm a drug dealer now in Kingston.
Honestly, we've seen. You could say, I could sell, cocaine on Wall Street and still get elected mayor of Kingston. You need to just have that kind of bravado.
Probably, I wouldn't be the first mayor that was doing that.
Oh, that was that Gallo. Yeah, he was like a fucking lunatic, right? Oh, Kingston.
Yeah, the long legacy of mayors that have been questionable.
So see, I think your dark past, the anchor, just not the anchor, the basement, just the fact that you left right off the bat, like that shows great judgment, in my opinion. I think that you use that. Okay, here's my candidate, blackout drunk at the basement. All right, well, I started that business and then left because I realized it was going to be terrible, and then I couldn't stop it from being terrible. And there you go. You just like.
All right, Kevin, you're gonna be my campaign advisor then.
Yeah, I think you need someone smarter than me for your campaign advisor. I bet I could write some speeches. I could do some.
I would, and I want every time somebody better than me. I feel like is out there. And again, there's that small world of people that are really hyper into the political scene.
Yeah.
I'm like 1 or 2 degrees away from that. I know the people. I know all the players. I give them music equipment.
See, I think this is the problem, though, with the political thing, is that you think there's someone better than you, right? But some like, like I said, some guy that drives a snowplow or, does whatever, like drives a fucking cement truck. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's a dude that makes this YouTube channel that gets 100,000 followers, and he's like, I know all the answers. He doesn't think that there's someone better than him, smarter than him. He thinks, Yeah.
And then it's him versus the guy that's completely for nepotism and
exactly. It's like the system as it is, working only for the rich, or, this far off, like right wing, lunacy. Like, I don't fucking know. This is only the first interview. I don't know. This might be
How do I get somebody like Tommy Keegan to run?
Tommy Keegan, yeah, I think okay. There you go.
He'd be a good one.
Yeah, you know him better than I do. Get him in there. Start pushing him. And I think to an extent though, it seems like you need like a coven. There's probably a better word than coven, but like how like Ryan and Noble, like it seemed like they're kind of like a younger barrage of legislators that are coming in at the same time.
Yeah, that's everybody that was at the thing, like Delgado, all of that.
Yeah.
There was the 2 old school ones. And one was fairly new to it, David Clegg.
Yeah.
And who was perfect DA.
What did he do? What did he do before he was DA? Was he just a private lawyer?
Yeah, private lawyer. He did. A lot of work with groups that really needed it, and like pro bono stuff. And he was like a deacon at his church. And he was a good community person and great family and stuff. Clegg was my guy of choice. But again, I do like the younger kind of groups coming in. Like even Delgado, younger dude.
Yeah, but even that like the Clegg election was like not saying that he is like that like nepotism or politics as usual kind of thing, but his opponent ran on like a very criminals are bad, they're gonna kill you're gonna be overrun with ran on the other side of it.
The opponent was definitely like keep the thing going, and I worked for the DA's office, and we're just going to keep things going.
Yeah, we like if I don't get elected, criminals are going to rob your fucking house. You're gonna die. You're gonna get murdered by criminals in the street. It was like very that like right wing kind of reactionary campaign, which is like I don't think anyone want not many people want that in this area in this day and age.
And I will say, Clegg won by like 10 votes, and I will say I had a party at my old house for David Clegg. And I'd like to think that was a difference maker there.
There you go. So when you run,
we hosted
you run, you can call in that favor and basically be like, bro, if it wasn't for me, and he won by 10 votes. The first time they counted it, he like lost by 1 or some shit like that.
I don't know if it was exactly 10, but it was something really close.
It was silly. It was like the first time the first time they counted, I think he lost by 1 to Kavanaugh, right? That was his opponent.
Yeah.
And then they recounted it, and he won by. I think it was more than 10, but it was it's weird that it's a fucking election in this era of technology, and the count was wrong. It was off by like 80. How the fuck does that like?
Well, yeah, I think there was a lot like absentee votes and a couple other things, and I don't know. It seems from when I was first able to vote to now, it's gotten like harder and harder to count. It seems like, and which is probably due to the Department of Technology not existing anymore.
There you go.
But it's just, and that's the other fear of this next election that we're having in November is going to be like we're not going to know until like the day before the inauguration of somebody.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I saw like an article like China, Russia, and Iran are trying to hack the election. Like we've been fucking with elections in countries for fucking 70 years.
At least,
so
it sounds like each one's picked a different side, so they might cancel each other out.
Or we should have been prepared for, like, how are you not prepared as a country that has done this shit for 70 fucking years? How are we not prepared for other people doing it?
When somebody,
it's like
my thought too, like the audacity of somebody messing with
beyond
power,
the audacity, you just know that someone's going to do it. Of course they are. Why wouldn't they? Like we're competing in a global economy. Of course they want us to be weaker, so they want some idiot like Trump to fucking ruin the fucking country so their economies are stronger. But the fact that we're not prepared for it is just bananas. It's like
it's the
like what's an aircraft carrier cost? Like how many aircraft carriers do we have? Like just spend some of that money on like whatever tech infrastructure. Things that I don't understand how to build an aircraft carrier, but I also don't understand how to protect it.
Well, the problem is people go to Congress and they yell at Mark Zuckerberg about how his iPhone doesn't fucking load correctly. So like, that's the problem.
So we're fucking doomed. Is that basically what you're saying?
I mean, there's some hope, but it.
Lara says that Matt can make you a logo.
I see that. Yeah, I think I liked it.
All right. Oh shit. Yeah,
I do need a logo.
Yeah. So coffee, the music store. You got this on. How are the Keegan's runs going?
Good. I hurt my ankle last week.
Oh no.
Riding back from Dave's house to my house on my bicycle, but they were going well.
You got to go up a big hill to get to your house from Dave's, right? You got to go up the.
I do, yeah.
Where do you go, up
it's
Stephen?
A big hill.
Or what?
Up Stephen Street.
Yeah. I'd have to walk.
In an undisclosed plot on top of the hill next to a water tower.
I love that water tower. I like water towers in general, just how like you can see them from so far.
Yep. I do miss Washington Avenue though, man. Being close to things, but at the same time, nothing is there anyway anymore. So it's a weird.
Yeah, it's not like you could walk to bars or what have you.
Yeah.
How's living in a house full of McElroys?
Dustin and the McElroys. It's been good so far. It's not too bad. There's enough spots and nooks to hide away if need be and everything.
Yeah, you got some space. All right.
Smells like coffee.
There you go. How's Mal doing?
Delicious. Mal's doing well. Mal's probably the most isolationist out of the group. He's kind of been quarantining pretty well. He'd probably win the quarantine points.
I feel like that's just his nature, is to just like sit in his room and smoke weed and drink liquor.
Yep, he just got a fretless banjo. So
okay.
He's rocking that, which is nylon string fretless banjo. That's just pretty cool.
It sounds good, yeah.
Yeah, it's got like a quieter sound, so he just rocks it out all the time.
That other one was fucking loud. The last one I bought. Yeah,
he's got his like in-house banjo that he doodles with, and then that super loud live sound kind of one.
Right on. I do need to get in touch about picking up some kind of rack. I don't know too much about racks, so maybe I'll have to come look and see.
I do have a couple of used racks in the shop, so maybe stop in and we could take a look at a couple of them.
Yeah, when are you?
1112 Morton Boulevard in Kingston.
There you go. What days are you there?
I'm here Monday through Friday, 1 to 6.
Oh, you're there every day?
Sometimes Fridays I'm not here.
Okay. All right.
And then Saturdays, 11 to 4, we're open too.
All right, cool. Well, it's been great talking to you. Is there anything else we want to go over before I let you go?
No, man, it's been a great time. The funny thing is, I think right when I was moving to my new spot, was one of your, like, that day was your first show on here, and I tried to call in back when it was kind of a little bit more anarchy.
Oh, you're
But
moving to your new apartment.
yeah, right when, I think it was the first night we stayed there, and I called in, but my phone died like 2 words in.
I think that was like early on when I wasn't even like I was doing a live stream, but not
you weren't doing
recording
phone.
them for
So I was
anything.
just randomly calling. Yeah,
I'm thinking about moving them to YouTube next week. You're moving it to YouTube next week. What do you think about? You have any thoughts on that?
I think ultimately it'd probably be better, but harder to get followers. I think
to get people engaged. Yeah, because I see like
here, you could kind of scroll through Facebook like, oh yeah, that's on. Whereas YouTube, you got to have the followers and that know what time they're going in.
I don't know that I have that many people that are just like randomly. I don't know. It'd be interesting if anyone's listening. Let me know. Like if you were just randomly scrolled through this and you decided it was interesting and listen to it.
Well, that bump. You got 12 people watching. At least I'm looking at it now.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it says now. I don't know if that thing's always that accurate though. Like we've had very very little comments so far.
Because sometimes people do watching parties and that.
Yeah, so it's more than one. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like Facebook. The less time I spend on Facebook, the better.
Do YouTube. I try to help promote it, and then you could just link it from Facebook anyway.
Yeah,
Facebook's bad. We need to start getting away from Facebook.
Yeah,
because
not that YouTube's not. I mean, YouTube's like a QAnon fucking cesspool as well. But it is what it is.
Yeah,
what are you?
We got to. Facebook's. We could talk for another hour about how Facebook's being terrible to musicians as well. Yeah. But you could probably bring that up to the next guest. Who is that awesome? Is Des coming on next?
Des is next, yeah.
Des worked with me at Abrams back in the day.
Oh shit! All right, good.
We almost share a birthday.
She was selling some Nissans, so I had to give her some extra time to get ready.
Ah, nice. Closing some deals there.
Closing some deals.
Awesome. But yeah,
all right.
Des and I go way back. All right, but thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, dude.
All right. Out and check out Rondout Coffee or Rondout.
Yeah, buy some guitars or some coffee from Dustin.
Thank you, man. Have a good one.
You too, bud. Later. All right, that was Dustin from Planet Woodstock Music and Roundout Roasting Company, coffee and music store owner motherfucker. We'll get some Des next. Take a quick break here. We'll play some Big Sister from Dez's band here.
$15 beers on a Tuesday afternoon. That sounds about right. That sounds metal as fuck.
15 beers on Tuesday afternoon is a Crazy Rev Kev production.